If your ads aren't working, it's probably not your ads. And this is where most people waste a ton of money. They keep tweaking targeting, budgets, platforms, when the real problem is somewhere else entirely. And it's almost always one of these three things. The problem is that you don't know the constraint yet within your ad setup. And the reality is, every ad system, no matter the business type, is just this. You have an ad, it gets someone's attention, sends them to a page to take an action, and then that action inevitably turns into a customer. That's it. So when people say things like ads don't work, or ads don't work for my business type, or ads were just a waste of money, we didn't get anything out of it, something in this chain is broken, and the data is screaming at you for what to do. And once you understand this, the best part is you can just diagnose any ad problem in a few minutes. So let's start with the first bottleneck. And that is, if nobody clicks your ad, your hook is the problem. Not your targeting, not the platform. Your messaging just isn't strong enough to interrupt attention. These platforms are getting smarter and better at finding clients and customers now more than ever. The problem is, think about it. People scroll past hundreds of posts a day. They're inundated with ads physically when they go out and they see billboards on the side of buses everywhere. There is an ad. If yours doesn't immediately make them think, this is for me, they're gone. For example, if you're running an ad that says, we offer high quality services for small businesses, we're local, we're friendly, we're like a family, no one cares. But if you say why most small businesses waste money on ads and how to fix it, now you get their attention. Now you've got my attention. So what you really want to do if you're not getting any clicks, don't touch the funnel, don't touch the website, don't touch the landing page, don't even change your offer. Fix the messaging first, those first 5 seconds. Pretend your best friend was about to make a 6-figure mistake and you only had one thing you could tell them. What would you tell them in those first 5 seconds? If you fix that message, I guarantee you'll see a cascading effect. But problem number 2 is that let's say now you're getting a bunch of clicks. And second, if people are doing that, but they don't buy, your offer then becomes the problem. And this is where a lot of people get confused because they think my ads are working, I'm getting traffic, I'm getting clicks, I'm getting people to actually visit my website or my landing page, but they're not doing anything because traffic means nothing if it doesn't convert. You're just basically paying for expensive noise. The ad already did its job. It got attention. It created interest. Now your page or where you send them to has one job. Turn that interest into an action. Book a call, buy my thing, add to cart, do something. Let's say somebody clicks on get more leads for your business. And then it lands on the homepage, which if you're sending any traffic to your homepage, you're already making the worst mistake possible. But let's say even we go to a landing page or a funnel and it's extremely generic. There's no offer, there's no strong promise, there's no reason to act now. They leave, just like you would leave if there was no compelling reason to actually take the next step. So that's not an ad problem, that's an offer problem. So if you're getting a lot of clicks, a lot of traffic, but you're not getting sales, stop tweaking the ads and fix what happens after the click. Run through the whole process if you must. But once you understand that, hey, my ads are getting attention, they're getting clicks, and they're landing somewhere, they're going somewhere, but they're not taking an action, that is an offer problem. And it can simply be fixed by just being objective and looking at exactly what happens. Is there a reason they should act? Is there something compelling? Is the next step clear enough? But third, if people buy, or even if they take an action, let's not even say they're doing that, but they don't come back. They're not actually closing. You're not getting them to take the final step, or you're not even getting them to actually come back. Usually these are the same problem, and that's that you have a bad product or service. And this is the one that people really don't want to hear, because on paper it looks like all the things are working. You're getting sales potentially, but those sales aren't really translating. They're staying for a little while, then they're leaving. Or in some cases, and this happens a lot more often, you might get a ton of leads, you might get a ton of add to carts, but they're not actually buying anything. Let me put it this way. If I could just send a million leads your way, how many of those leads could you potentially close? How many of them could you actually convert? Do you have a proven offer? Do you have a written sales process? Do you have some script that you follow? And let's say you solve even that problem. You're getting a bunch of sales, you're making a bunch of revenue, but they're not sticking around. They're not going back. They're not referring you. That means that you have a product or service that unfortunately is just not sticky enough, or the sales process is just not scripted enough. If you get customers that don't stick, you're consistently starting from zero. You're just churning through the same people. And then even worse is if you're getting people to book a call or take an action, but they're not actually buying anything. They're not even giving you money. I see this all the time where people get really excited to generate traffic or get books or get booked calls or get leads, but they have no idea how to convert them. And then even if they do convert them, they don't stay around long enough. So basically, if people don't return or you can't actually sell them, ads just become an expensive way to replace the customers you're already losing, or unfortunately to just give you feel good, high dopamine that people may want your stuff, but not enough to actually give you money. And this isn't really a big idea. The reality is that ads at the end of the day are an amplifier. And ads don't fix problems. Everybody thinks that a ad is going to solve their business's constraints overnight. The reality is that ads actually expose them faster than ever. If you were to have your business and for the next decade you just waited for people to talk to you, inevitably you would find the cracks in the sequencing. My offer isn't good enough. My hook isn't good enough. All of this stuff that we talked about prior would inevitably and naturally come up. But if you are paying these platforms with your hard-earned money to just show you what's broken in your business, they're just going to amplify what's already there, meaning that my hook isn't good enough, so I'm spending money to get people to scroll past my stuff. Or they're taking action, or they're landing on my page, but they're not taking action, which means I don't have a good enough offer. Or worst of all, I'm getting a lot of them to take action, potentially maybe something soft like downloading a guide, booking a call, maybe adding to cart, but they're not even buying. And then inevitably, even if they do buy, my stuff isn't good enough, so they're not returning, they're not referring, they're not staying around. I'm not getting repeat sales. So if your hook is weak, your ads are going to fail much faster. If your offer is weak, ads are going to burn money faster. And if your product is weak, ads are just going to bring you more churn. You're going to have to keep spending more and more and more to get more, unfortunately. So most people try and fix this with ads when they should be fixing the business. And that's the harsh reality, is that the boring stuff that you've probably been avoiding right now is actually going to make you a lot of money versus trying to say, hey, I'm just going to skip all of this and run to ads. Hence why, if you haven't seen my last video where I talk about there's only 4 ways to get customers, I consider it a rite of passage that if you haven't sold your stuff to 50 strangers, then you don't know what does and doesn't work, and that's why ads become very difficult. But at the end of the day, you will inevitably discover this, and either you're trading your time for money or money for time, and if you'd like to burn a lot of money, you can do so through these ad platforms to discover what the data will inevitably tell you. But I want to save you money and I want to save you time by telling you that you should be fixing your business at the end of the day. And if you need help fixing this in your business, there is a link below. It does show you the quick diagnostic. Takes about 45 seconds, and it shows you the real constraint within your business. All you have to do is follow the steps inside of there. But I hope this video was valuable. Make sure you follow these steps if you are running ads, especially if you're throwing money at these platforms. Again, ads are an amplifier both ways. If you have a good offer, you have a good hook, you have a good niche, you'll make more money. But if you have not solved the diagnostic, or if you not solved the constraints in your business, it's just going to expose what's inevitably wrong. But as always, I put a video out like this every single week. Be sure to subscribe and comment below with what problems you're experiencing with your ad campaign so I can help assist you, or what problems you're experiencing in your business so I can help make content that will also solve that problem for you. Well, that's all I got for you today. Until then, I'll see you next time.